Hello, my name is John Witvliet, Director of the Calvin Institute of Christian Worship and Professor of Worship at Calvin College and Calvin Theological Seminary in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'd like to reflect briefly on the meaning of the English term worship. In some ways, for Christian believers gathered for worship, we are impaired a bit when it comes to terminology because we have only one English word that needs to fulfill three very distinct functions. In the Bible and in common Christian usage, this single term, worship, is used to refer to three very different things. On the one hand, it refers to explicit acts of grateful praise to God, acts of adoration, expressions of love and wonder and delight. These might be expressions that we would have seen a beautiful sunset or the amazing splendor of leaves changing color in the fall, or trees with their new leaves in the springtime, expressions of gratitude at the birth of a new baby, moments that prompt us to bring adoration to God for God's amazing gift and the beauty that God provides and allows us to experience, especially in Jesus Christ. A second use of the term worship is in reference to a public event. We talk about a worship service. And the Bible, too, uses the term worship, in English translation at least, to refer to discrete events. In John 4, the Samaritan woman asked Jesus several difficult questions and refers to worship that is offered on the nearby mountain. And when she's making that reference, the terminology there points to a discrete event or ritual gathering of people in a particular time and place. The third use of the term worship is the largest and most expansive. In this sense, worship refers to orientation of our entire lives before God's face. In Romans chapter 12, for example, there is a reference to the spiritual worship that we offer God when our minds are renewed and transformed. And that kind of worship is worship that is invited from us 24/7. 24/7 worship. Worship all day long. Worship that we offer in classrooms as we study, in leisure activities, in work and family life, by living with an awareness that we live before God's face in ways that are pleasing to God and responding to God's commands. So one English term used in three very different ways. And it's important to clarify that before any discussion about public worship, because public worship, of course, needs to reinforce and strengthen the worship that we offer in all of life. It also needs to include explicit acts of adoration and praise. But a public worship service also needs to include other actions, confession and testimony, proclamation, lament, intercession, blessing. And by helping distinguish these three uses of the term, we end up clarifying discussions about worship and setting the stage for very fruitful discussions about faithful ministry and Christian living.